Hey everyone, today I will talk about the Kinesis data stream. This is one of the service uh, mm, which is provisioned into the AWS, right? So we'll talk a little bit the basic fundamental blocks of the Kinesis data stream, and then we will go into little detail. Let us say the very high level architecture of Kinesis data stream, right? The first thing, what exactly the data stream is. So, data stream is where the big data is ingested to different systems altogether, the systems of your interest. So, here say this is my stream, has been provisioned into the AWS, and I say that okay, for time being, I say that okay, there are few shards here. We'll talk about the shards definition little later. What's the significance of that? Then we can see the shard 2, and let's say the shard 3, and so on. And as per the architecture, you can provision n number of shards. And the shards significance is for scaling the capacity of the stream, right? Overall. So we can say this is shard n. Okay. Now there is another layer which we need to understand is called the producers, right? So the producers are responsible for producing the big data. So the big data, as per the definition, is all kind of data which can be ingested. It could be the structured, the tabular format, or it can be semi-structured, the XML, or structured in the form of the JSON, right? So here you must be thinking what is the producer, right? So producer is a layer where there's multiple applications can post data. So we can say those are the apps, right? So those apps can be created using the KPL libraries or SDKs, right? Which has been provided for building the applications, right? So let's say if you want to create a very high performance applications, want to manage, then you can use the SDK, right? Or at the very high level, you want to use the APIs and not a very complicated architecture, you can use KPL. We'll talk about those, but at the very high level, just think about the apps are producing the big data, right? The same, then we can say the IoT devices, right? So this could be altogether we are pushing this IoT data stream, which is usually used for the real-time streaming, right? If you want to find out the specific pattern, specifically in the industrial use case, right? Very interesting use case. And let us say the last one is the Kinesis agent, data stream agent, right? So this is very typical example where let's say all distributed applications nowadays running separately in different processor space, they're producing the logs, right? And those logs or the incremental logs data has to be processed and to be pushed to the streams for the analysis. Now, how the data is pushed to the stream. So for that, we need to understand little bit on the record side. So what is exactly the record? So we can say the record is nothing but two keys. One is partition key, and the another is data blob. So this data blob is the data which is the big data to be post. This is 1 MB, right? So here all the records, right? So we can say this record is, this is the data, right? And this data is post to the shards, right? And this data, you can say that this data is post here, and this data is post here, right? And this data kind of. So these are the different records pushed by these applications altogether. Could be different applications altogether, pushing records accordingly, right? So, so very interesting thing about this is that any applications can push max 1 MB of data per second. So let us say if there's a one shard, then per second only 1 MB of data can be. So in 10 second only 10 MB of data. So let us say if you want to determine a capacity for this stream to be 10 MB per second, then you have to define n equal to 10, n equal to 10 shards to ensure that all the applications should be able to push 10 MB of data per second. The same way if you want to say 100 Mbps might be, then you need to increase one more zero, the 100 shard, and then this 100 Mbps per second. So this is the limitation of the data stream per shard, right? This is a very interesting thing, and you need to remember for if you are planning to appear into the exam. Or we can say the wax 1000 records per second, right? So now the producer is done. Now we need to understand a little bit on the consumer side. So anything which has been pushed will be kept into the shard for some time, and the limit is like 1 day. Data can be stored into the shard for 1 day, or it could be let us say max 7 days, right? Not more than that. So the records which are pushed in the shards can stay here for 27 days. Now the thing is, this data has to be consumed, right? So data will be consumed by the consumer applications. So let's try to understand the consumer applications. So again, the same application which you can build using the SDK or KCL, the Kinesis consumer libraries. So these are the applications which you need to build, ensure based on the requirement, right? And you want to make sure the worker applications are high performance applications, want to create want to utilize some of the basic APIs, and then you create your application architecture over that. Now next is the AWS Lambda. So this is again the service provided by the AWS, is the serverless. So here you need to put less efforts, but again you can process those records, and you can, after processing, you can put it somewhere else, some other destination. The other service of interest is Kinesis, Firehouse, I think Firehose. So this is also very interesting service. Here, let us say if anything is processed, all those records can be pushed to S3 and can be pushed to this Redshift, right? And can be pushed to the Elastic Search. And finally, for which this data stream is designed, is the analytics, right? We'll talk about this use case in detail. Now let us talk about the record structure which will be received here. So again we have the partition key, then we have the sequence number. The sequence number is nothing but the marker for the data or the record which has been retrieved, and the application must know what's the next record to be retrieved, right? And here the data belong. Again, the interesting thing is this is 2 MB. So let us say that this record has the partition where you need to give the shard which you want to fetch data from, the sequence number, and the 2 MB data block. So here the capacity of the data uh, can be received by any application is 2 MB for all the applications. So this is the default configuration. Let us say by default configuration, all the applications, there are the 4 applications, then 4 applications can per second can receive only 500 bytes of data. So this is one bottleneck in the performance. We will understand that with the enhanced configuration. So if that configuration is enabled, then each application can be enabled to receive 2 MB per second data from the shards. So this is an interesting thing exactly. The very interesting part here in the use case, we will understand the Kinesis firehouse, AWS Lambda serverless, and the analytics. So in the next topic, we'll try to understand the use case end to end, like how the data is being flowed to different shards altogether, then is received by the applications altogether. Okay.